Okay, hello and welcome everybody to today's free webinar. My name is Josie Thompson. I'm a Master Certified Coach. I'm an international speaker. I'm an author and I'm a single mum, and I just love life, and I love enabling and supporting people to live life to the fullest. One of the biggest themes that gives us that sense of fulfillment in life is the way we contribute. And how we utilize our time in the world. And a lot of that is actually driven by the career that we take on as a daily practice. I'm just checking a message that's come in to make sure we're starting to unplug my earphones. Okay, I'll unplug my earphones. Hear me okay? So if you want to give me the thumbs up, that would be great. So welcome to today's webinar. Today's webinar is all about how to find a fulfilling career. Now, I've been coaching executives and CEOs and coaches and a number of personal clients for almost 19 years. And one of the key themes that I'm constantly assisting people in is trying to figure out, what do I want to be when I grow up? And I mean, this is a question that we often ask ourselves in different stages of life. It's not like you only do it once when you finish school and you set about and you have this lifetime career. Those days are gone. I mean, in the generation of my parents, that's certainly what used to happen a lot. You would often have a job for life. But these days, things have completely changed. And I know you can relate to this, and that's why you're here today. So welcome. Today's webinar is all about being able to put you in the driver's seat so you feel that you have some kind of say and command over how you contribute to the bigger picture and how you can utilize and offer up your skills, your strengths, your passions, and your innate talents in a way that's worthwhile, that's meaningful and fulfilling to you. So today's going to be very, very practical. So I need you to have a pen and paper on the ready, because I'm going to fire off lots of practical things that you can reasonably do right now to give you that sense of clarity and direction for your life's career and purpose. So let's get started. So when we talk about this theme called finding a fulfilling career, there's two things you have to do to start with. First of all, what does fulfilling mean to you? Like, get clear about your definition of fulfilling. Fulfilling for me will be different to fulfilling for you. So there's no one size fits all with this. So what does fulfilling mean to you? Write it down, get really clear about it so that you know when something is not fulfilling versus when something is fulfilling. So for me, if I was going to define it, I'd be saying, fulfilling for me means that I wake up every morning full of energy and really looking forward to doing what it is that I'm going to do for the day. Fulfilling also for me is making a difference, making a positive difference in the lives of others. Fulfilling for me is that it is also something that I'm genuinely interested in, that I'm bringing my best self forward, and that all I'm doing really is an extension of being who I am in spaces that actually support, assist and enable and celebrate other people and their lives. So I know what fulfilling is and I know what it's not. So what it's not for me is working ridiculous hours and feeling completely spent at the end of the day and then feeling like I've got a half-charged battery every day. Not fulfilling for me would be resenting having to get up and going to work every day. You know, so on the contrary of that, fulfilling for me is it doesn't feel like a job. You know, I get to get up and have conversations with people that I know makes a difference to them. And I can actually help to celebrate their growth, their enablement, the way that they have actually challenged themselves to break free of narratives that no longer serve them. And we're going to talk about that in a moment. So the first thing you need to get your head around is, what is your definition of fulfillment for you? The second thing is, what do you mean when you talk about the word career? When you think about career, does that mean it's something automatically where you're actually servicing somebody else's organization? Is it working for a small business, small to medium business? Is it doing something entrepreneurial? Like, what does it mean to you? You know, is it initially to upskill and partner in a context where you can develop and grow the skills that ultimately you want or need to be able to set up on your own? Like, think about your ultimate picture. Now, the thing that's going to get in the way is you. What I mean by that is oftentimes our biggest obstacle to manifesting and to creating or attracting the things that we really deeply desire and deserve in life is our internal narrative. What I mean by that is the little voice inside your mind that either says, yes, you can do it, or who do you think you are? To think that you can have that, to think you can do that. Once that little voice gets triggered and it's actually not on your side, you're not going to get there. So the first thing we have to do, once we've defined what a fulfilling career actually means to you, not getting into specific jobs at this point in time, just getting clear on the actual wording. What does fulfilling mean? What would it feel like? What would it look like, you know, in general terms? Then it's actually tuning in to the little voice in your mind and listening for what it's actually saying. Is it actually on your side? Is it partnering with you to enable you to believe that even going for it is achievable? Because if that little voice is saying, yeah, it's a waste of time, you're not going to get there anyway, well, guess what? You won't. So we really need to get that inner voice on your side. Usually the reason why that little inner voice will get in your way is either one of two things. One, you've had a past experience that has left you with a scar or a belief that now taints your reality. And two, you actually believe that belief. Now, here's the thing. Beliefs are narratives, and narratives are not facts. Now, I need to say that again. Beliefs are narratives, they're stories, and they're not necessarily facts. So what I mean by that is maybe I applied for a job 5 years ago and I was shortlisted and I got to runner-up and I missed out. And it was my dream job. I always wanted it. And when I got that call to say I was unsuccessful, this little voice in my head said, what's the point of dreaming and allowing yourself to go for something you really want because you're not going to get it anyway? And so when the next opportunity comes up, I find that inner narrative coming up to combat my efforts to want to give it a shot. So we need to actually take stock of some of these inner narratives and beliefs that we're automatically buying into, because these narratives, they actually operate at the subconscious level. So what I mean by that is they just come in without your conscious awareness. So if you are not paying attention, they are running the show, not you. So you need to bring your whole brain into the driver's seat. You need to bring your adult person into the driver's seat, the adult version of you that has learned some stuff since those experiences and since that narrative was acquired, that adult you that has also become stronger and wiser as a consequence of some of those experiences that have occurred in your past. The thing is this, your past is not an accurate predictor of your future unless you're living there. And how crazy is that? Because this is present time and you're no longer that person that you were when those events or experiences occurred. In fact, you're this person with the benefit of hindsight, with some knowledge and experience that you didn't have back then. So with that benefit of hindsight, you can approach this in a more wise way. So the first thing we have to do is get on our own side. So if the desired belief you want to be able to have is, I can put my best foot forward, that's actually a true statement. You can, right? Do you believe you can? That's another question. So a better way of putting it so that you get no resistance from that little reticular activation system in our brain that if that goes off, you lose the game, right? The better way of putting it is to put these words in front of it. The words are, I'm in the process of. So on your piece of paper, I want you to write in big writing, I'm in the process of giving this my best shot. And when you look at those words and when you read those words and when you say those words out loud, you tell me if there is any resistance to accepting them. Your answer should be no, actually, because it is a true statement. I am in the process of whatever I want to write after that statement. I am in the process of putting my best foot forward. I am in the process of giving this my best shot. I am in the process of putting myself forward. I am in the process of believing in myself. They are all true statements, and that's what we need to do to get on your own side. Right, so we've got our definitions. Now we're really clear about the narrative that's going to enable us to start to put our best foot forward. Now what we need you to do is to start thinking about, okay, what are, and I want you to actually list this out, what are the important characteristics of your ideal job? And I want you to be really clear and specific about this. So for me, my ideal job is going to be flexible. It's going to have lots of variety. It's going to involve people. It's going to enable me to make decisions, not just be accountable, but actually have authority to execute. You see where I'm going with this? I like to travel, so I'd like the ideal job to involve some travel. I like to speak to large communities and audiences, so it's got to involve speaking to large groups. So I want you to take stock and actually define your own selection criteria. What are the important characteristics of your ideal job, right? And allow yourself to be quite discerning here. Allow yourself to dream. Dare to state your truth. Just write it down. Do not judge it. This is what I want, okay? Then what I want you to do is think about what are the important characteristics of the ideal organisation or business that you want to work in. So if I was going to work for someone else, the ideal organisation for me would be an organisation that really does reward people for their efforts and contribution. So an organisation that believes in fair pay and fair reward and also acknowledgement of people's contribution. I would also want to probably partner with a multinational organisation, a large organisation that values diversity, that also values the contribution of whether it's coaching or learning and development that I bring to the table, that it's not just lip service. I would also want to partner with an organisation that is prepared to invest in their people. So an organisation that believes in professional development. So think about the features and the ideal characteristics of the ideal workplace for you. Is it open plan? Is it working in large groups? Is it autonomous that allows you to work on your own? Does it offer you flexible working arrangements because that's important to you? Like, just get clear about that. So we've got clear about your definitions. We've got you on your own side with your internal narrative. We're starting to get you clear about your selection criteria. But wait, there is more. When you go into interview, it's important for you to not only know what you want, but also to know and discern what you don't want. So one of the things I'm going to ask you or invite you to do is get clear about your non-negotiables. So what I mean by that is this. So write this question down. I need you to not only write it, but at some point I want you to answer it. I want you to write down, what am I not prepared to do? What am I not prepared to change? And what am I not prepared to negotiate? So for your ideal fulfilling career, what are you not prepared to do, to change, or negotiate? So what do you think that might give you? What I've found for a lot of clients who I've helped actually get into much more fulfilling careers, this actually gets you really thinking about, I'm not actually prepared to work in an isolated environment. I'm not prepared to work with a manager that I don't respect. I'm not prepared to work more than 45 hours a week. Like, what are your non-negotiables? What are you not prepared to change? So for me, I wouldn't be prepared to change where I live. I wouldn't be prepared to not have flexible working arrangements. So, have a think about the things you wouldn't change for any job. And then what you're not prepared to negotiate. And this might even be your salary expectations. So what salary package would you be seeking in a new career? So obviously you need to be realistic. You need to know what the market's paying. One of the obvious questions you'll get asked is, what is your current package or the last package that you worked in? And what you want to be able to say is, round it up to the figure of your base salary, all of your loadings, so your leave loadings, and your super. So say your package might be, I don't know, I'll make it up, say 60 or 70 grand. Then what you want to be able to say is, my current package is 70,000 and I'm looking to improve on that position. So that way you're not actually tying yourself into a fixed figure. And you're not actually saying, how much you actually want. I would probably bring that base figure up a little bit and say, okay, well, my current package is, around 80 grand and I'm seeking to improve that figure. And so they've got enough information there to work with to know that if they're going to secure you for this role, that's what your salary expectation would be. All right. Be prepared, though, for the next question, which may be, so what is that figure comprised of? So then you may need to reveal, well, the base component is this, and the rest is made up of loadings and super. And that's all you need to give them. In my experience, and in the experiences that I've heard with my clients, generally you're not asked that question. Usually you're asked the first one, what are your salary expectations? Or what are you currently paid, or what was your last package? So it's important to be able to have that figure top of mind, really clear and articulate, ready to roll off your tongue, so that they can see that you're prepared. All right. It's not only an interview about you being fired a whole bunch of questions that you need to be able to articulate clear responses for and be able to think about. Invariably at the end of interviews, you're always asked, do you have any questions? So based on even the things I've had you consider so far, we haven't finished yet, that'll give you some cues to be able to clarify with some questions whether some of your non-negotiables have been covered in the interview, whether some of your expectations have been covered in the interview. One question that I would suggest that you do ask at interview is, how is performance going to be measured in this role? How is performance going to be measured in this role? So that will give you a very clear idea of what the expectation in terms of key deliverable is going to be for this role that you're applying for. Now, you may love sales and the role might be rewarded for bottom line results, that's it. You may also really enjoy business development, the people development, and you would like to see that the role is actually measured against the way the team grows as well as the bottom line contribution. So you'll be able to start to harness and gauge what are their values and do their values actually match with yours. So one of the key things that I will get everyone who's looking at career decisions to do is to get clear about what are your key values, what are your governing, guiding values. Now, what are values? Values are like your blueprint to a happy, fulfilling life, not just work, whole of life. And if you can align your thoughts, your words, and your decisions with your core values, happy days. Life is good. What happens from time to time is that life can get pretty busy, and along the way, we can actually start to lose our sense of self. We get so swept up in servicing everybody else and other people's wants and needs that we start to lose a handle on ourselves and what we value the most, because we've sought to contribute and serve so many others that we really haven't thought about how it's actually serving ourselves as well. Our core values are like your blueprint for a happy life. They actually tell you very, very clearly in black and white who you are, what you stand for, and what you're not meant to compromise for any job, any person, any relationship, any major decision that you make in life. So when you get really clear on your core values, it really is a North Star to making the right decisions for you. Okay, so far we've talked about getting clear about definitions around what does fulfillment mean for me, what would that look like, what does career mean to me, making sure the inner narrative is aligned with you, you're on your own side. You're also looking at the important characteristics of the ideal job and the ideal organisation. And you've also taken stock of your non-negotiables, what you're not prepared to do or change or negotiate for any job. And now you've started to actually look at your core values. Now you're starting to get some of these really key pieces of the puzzle together. Now what I need you to do is I want you to grab a piece of paper, separate paper, and I want you to draw a little stick figure, or if you're particularly artistic, draw a picture of you right in the centre of the page, not too big. And then what I want you to draw is an outer circle, give yourself some space, and then another outer circle, which you need to be able to draw right on the outer of that second circle as well. And what I want you to do is, on the outskirts of the sheet of paper, I want you to title that, What I Know How to Do. So what we're going to do here is a skills inventory. Just because you know how to do a lot of stuff doesn't mean that that's what you ought to be doing in the future as a job. Because there's some stuff you know how to do that you just don't love doing. That's not going to give you fulfillment. But what we want to do is a bit of a stock take, because sometimes we do lose sight of just how much we bring to the table. And every time I do this exercise with my clients, they are so surprised at how much they actually know how to do. And the many things they could do if they actually wanted to. So what I want you to do along the outside of that sheet of paper, when you've got some time to reflect, is write down just all the things that you know how to do. And these could be professional skills. They could also be hobbies. They could also be interests. They could also be just pastimes that you know how to do. It could be sketching. It could be tracing. It could be playing guitar. It could be, harvesting, your garden. I don't know what it is. All the things you know how to do. And you should be able to fill all that space up. Then on the first circle, I want you to head that up, what I enjoy doing. So all those things that you've got listed on the outside of the page, I want you to now start to bring in. I want you to now start going, so of all those things, what do I actually enjoy doing? I know how to do all this stuff, but do I actually like to do all of these things? And I would say the answer to that is no. Actually, just because I know how to do it doesn't mean it floats my boat. So I want you to bring into that first circle the things you actually enjoy doing. And what you're going to start to see are those things that you actually enjoy doing starting to get closer to you, the little picture in the middle. And then on the inner circle, the inner circle, I want you to write what I love to do. Now, in that circle, I want you to bring in, from that list of likes, what threads can you see about passions? What are you actually passionate about? What do you love to do? So for me, I know one of my inner circle passions is enabling and helping people, right? Another passion for me is celebrating life. So that might be other people's lives, but it also might be my own. So it's really about looking at all of those things that are in that inner circle and going, what am I passionate about? Am I passionate about solving problems? Am I passionate about innovative and creative thinking? Am I passionate about working with people? You know, there will be some things there that will give you some cues around the nature of the work. What I find that one of the biggest mistakes people do when they start thinking about careers is they try to put a label on it. And they say, well, I want to be a CFO, Chief Financial Officer, or I want to be an admin assistant, or I want to be a CEO. Well, when you start putting labels on it, you can really narrow your options. But when you start thinking about fulfilling career, if I was going to broadly define it, if I was the person that wanted to be a CEO, I would define it as being in a role of influence and authority where I can execute on significant organisational priorities, where I can lead a large team of people. So as you see, by me describing it in that way, it's less about the title and more about the nature of the work that I would be engaged in. Because it might not actually be CEO, it might be COO, but the work is so fulfilling to me. Does it mean that I fail because I didn't get the CEO role, but I got the COO and it's got everything I wanted to do and actually enjoy it? Then your brain goes into what's called cognitive dissonance because you set the bar here, being too specific about the actual job title instead of being specific about the nature of the work, which can then transcend title, right? So I'm hoping that this is making some sense to you. And one more thing that I will suggest you might like to do, that I do get all of my clients to do who are looking at career opportunities, and that is to actually think about asking people that know you well to give you some feedback, just some informal feedback. To be able to say, guys, I'm working on a professional development plan for the next 12 months and I'd really appreciate your help with a couple of questions. And the questions could be something like, what do you perceive as being my strengths? Another question could be, what do you perceive as being areas that I could develop or improve on? And a final question could be, what vocations do you think I'd be suited to and why? So by asking those closest to you for their honest feedback, you get to see some perspectives about you that you don't see for yourself, because when we're in the, our own little bubble, we only see ourselves for inside that bubble. The people around us can really see and appreciate so much more about us that maybe we take for granted. So what I suggest you do is make a list of those people that you trust, that you would value their positive, well, not positive, but honest feedback on, who you know would be willing to help you with some feedback. And asking them those 3 simple questions. And you don't have to send them an email. You can call them and say, hey, I'm working on a development plan at the moment. Can I pick your brain on a couple of questions? And if someone did that for you, you'd say, sure, of course. You wouldn't think anything of it. We like to be able to help and support one another, particularly when we know it's about your development plan. Great, all guns blazing. So you'll get a list of strengths and there'll be things that you went, oh gosh, I didn't realize. Yes, of course I'm good at that. I took that for granted. So you start to see some other things that you know you're good at and you can add to your list, right? And when they suggest to you areas for improvement, you can look at that and go, yep, that's a fair call. I don't take credit for my work, or I don't make visible the contributions that I make because I expect the people ought to know, you know. Yeah, that's true. I don't ask for help when I probably should, you know. I don't have healthy boundaries. I overwork and overcommit myself. This is really good feedback for you to know. And then their ideas of vocations could be really novel, that they've taken into account how they see you in the world and the things that they see you really good at. And they'll come up with ideas that you probably never considered before. And you'll look at it and go, hey, that's a good idea. Or not. But it's all food for thought, right? So today's webinar, I'm noticing that we're kind of running out of time now. But today's webinar was all about how do you find a fulfilling career? What I've done is given you step by step the actual process that I go through with my own clients to be able to not only identify but to secure the dream job, the job that's going to deliver them fulfillment. I hope this webinar has been useful to you. Please share your ideas and your feedback down below. Let me know what was the most helpful tip. What did you get out of this webinar? Feel free to share it with your friends. Also know that I have an online program which goes through all of this and more, called the Career Transition Program. And because you're here today, I have set up a special voucher with a code that's 1010 with the word off, OFF, so 10OFF. And so if you go into my website, josiethompson.com, go and have a look at my Learning Centre, and there's a career transition program there which goes through everything we've gone through today in more detail and more. And you put that coupon code in and you'll get a 10% discount on that program. You can also use that as a bonus for saying thank you for being here today. You can use that voucher code for the next 48 hours to get a discount on my next face-to-face workshop, which is coming up in May. It's called the Festival of Me. And what that's about is all about how do you set healthy boundaries? How do you amplify, identify, embrace, and express your best you in the world? And how do we get you out of the way to allow yourself to actually be okay to own it and love it and express it? So that is going to be a very special workshop here in Brisbane. Remember your 10 off voucher code for your discount. You can also join me on my Coffee, Tea and Josie member portal. It's a Facebook portal. I communicate with my tribe every single day. I produce videos every single week, and we do live Q&As every single month. So it's full of great resources to help you and sustain you to live your best life every day. And again, you can use that special code for the next 48 hours only to get your discount and come and join me on a more permanent basis so that we can hang out, work together and celebrate you and your life even more. Now, we've also got my next free webinar, and that's coming up on the 16th of May. And that one is all about setting boundaries with your inner wise advocate. So that's all about healthy boundary settings just for you, and talking about how do you access that aspect of your attentive mind that when you do connect with it, it always knows the right thing to do in the long run. It always has your back, it loves and cares for you and knows what to do. So I'm going to go through that on the next free webinar. So make sure you sign up for that. I hope you've enjoyed today's webinar. My name is Josie Thompson. I look forward to seeing you again soon. Bye for now.